Large language models are powerful, but they are also enormous. Running them is expensive, slow, and often impractical. So the big question becomes, can a small model learn to think like a large model without copying everything it does? That is exactly the idea behind MiniLLM. Traditionally, we compress models using knowledge distillation. A large teacher model generates outputs and a smaller student model learns to imitate them. But here's the problem. Most distillation methods were designed for classification, not language generation. And language generation is fundamentally different. In classification, there are only a few correct answers, so the probability distribution is not that complex. In text generation, there are millions of valid possibilities, so the probability distribution is extremely high dimensional and complex. Trying to copy everything the teacher might say becomes impossible for a smaller model because the smaller student model has a limited capacity. Standard distillation minimizes something called the forward KL divergence. So for the KL divergence is the difference between two distributions. So it is important to understand that this KL divergence measure is asymmetric. Intuitively, this forces the student to cover all the behaviors of the teacher. Minimizing the forward KL divergence asks the student to copy everything the teacher does. Sounds good, right? But for language models, this creates a problem. The teacher's probability distribution has many tiny possibilities, rare phrases, unlikely continuations. Forward KL tells the student assign probability everywhere the teacher might. So the student is trying its best to assign probabilities for these small non-zero probabilities. So a small model cannot represent such a complex distribution, so it splits probability into unrealistic regions like this and produces low quality generations. Mini LLM flips this idea. Instead of asking cover everything the teacher knows, it asks focus on what the teacher does best. Mathematically, this means minimizing the reverse scale divergence. The student learns the main patterns, not the long tail of rare behaviors. It learns correctness before diversity. There's another big shift. Traditional distillation trains using teacher-generated text. So teacher-generated text is the target. MiniLLM instead uses on-policy learning. That means the student generates its own responses first, as you can see here. Here the teacher generated responses, but here the student generates the responses. So training becomes closer to reinforcement learning. These student generated responses are being evaluated by the teacher. So student proposes text, teacher provides feedback via probabilities, student improves its own generation policy. This reduces a major issue in language models called exposure bias, where models fail because training and inference behave differently. Here, training already looks like real generation.